Hey everybody!
Welcome to that thing we do sometimes when we remember.
Yeah, well, we haven't forgotten yet.
That's true. I was just putting it off this week. It's like, sitting down, talking about cartoons. That sounds really taxing.
Well, you have just moved.
Yeah, I still haven't unpacked all my boxes.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I got the important stuff done. I got my computer hooked up. I got all my plushies back in their place.
Oh, good.
My bed is made. That's all I need.
I mean, when I moved into this place, I don't think I unpacked everything for like over a year.
No, we can't be doing that. That's too much.
I had 2 boxes next to my bed still unpacked that I was using as a bedside table.
I did have something like that in the last place that we moved. It just became the trash box. I didn't have a trash can, but I had a box full of garbage.
Oh, my boxes weren't full of garbage. They were full of things that I still hadn't unpacked.
No, I was using it as kind of like an ottoman. I would put stuff on it and also put trash in it.
Well, that's yeah, just like an ottoman. Let's play a theme song.
Pokémon get たとえ火の中水の中草の中森の中土の中雲の中のこのスタートの中なかなか大変だけど必ずゲットだぜポケモンゲットだぜマサラタウンにさよならバイバイ俺はこいつと旅に出る鍛えた技で勝ちまくり仲間を増やして次の街へいつもいつでもうまくいくなんて保証はどこにもないけどいつでもいつも本気で生きてるこいつ勝ちない
We've already played this theme song in another episode.
We have. And I tried to keep in mind that the theme song was sung by Ash's voice actor, but it's still not as good to me. Still not as good to me as the English one.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think when we cover later Pokemon shows, we'll come across some theme songs that are better than their English counterparts.
Oh yeah, I feel like after Johto, the theme songs really started going downhill in English.
I agree 100%. But up until Johto, I feel like every English Pokemon theme is an absolute banger. In fact, it's either the first Johto one or the third Johto one is my absolute favorite of all the English themes. I think it's the first one.
I think it's the first one. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I love that one.
It's a whole new world we live in. It's a whole new way to see. It's a whole new place with a brand new attitude. But you still gotta catch 'em all. Be the best that you can be.
Yeah, I think it is. Yes, because it's the one in the third movie.
That means nothing to me.
But the one in the Latios and Latias movie as well, also real damn good. You probably don't know that one as well as I do, but...
Oh yeah, as well as you do. I saw that movie, I think once, maybe 700 years ago.
It's a pretty good movie. I like that one.
Did I see that movie? Oh god, I get them so confused.
It's easy to get confused, yeah.
Because there's 500,000 of them.
Yeah, and a lot of them are very similar, just with different legendaries involved.
Right.
But they're mostly all good. There's only a couple Pokemon movies that I wouldn't watch again, to be honest. One of them being the 20th anniversary one that they made a huge deal about, and I really didn't like.
Oh, that came out relatively recently, right?
I think it's one of those things where it feels like it was relatively recent, but if we found out how long ago it was, we'd be very upset.
That sounds very accurate. I have no sense of time, and we've lost collectively 2 years.
Yes.
And anything beyond that is...
So, I'm not going to talk about Pokemon the video game because we talked about it in the last episode, and...
We're still going to talk about Pokemon the video game.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to give any history on it.
Yeah.
Because this episode aired 1 week after the last one we looked at. There wasn't
Things changed a lot.
There wasn't any significant updates in the Pokemon video game world. This is our first time covering a show for a second time.
Yeah.
So it felt weird not to have to do all that back research on the show's production and the game it was based on and stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, God, what are we even going to talk about this time? The people are going to realize we're a farce when we have no research.
Hey, we're just going to talk about the show. It's just pure, unadulterated madness.
This wasn't really a madness episode.
No. Do you think we should have... Well, anyway.
It's too late for regrets because this is the only show that I've watched. I am behind because of my move.
This is a super important episode. Very important.
It shows us our favorite characters, society's collective favorite characters.
Yes, it definitely... I think that this episode introduces more important characters than the first episode.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
This episode is called Taiketsu Pokemon Center. Taiketsu meaning showdown or confrontation. In English, it's called Pokemon Emergency, which is a pretty decent title. No pun. No puns
it's pretty
there.
boring, if you ask me.
It's no good quill hunting.
Take that house and shove it.
That's my favorite one.
It's like the only one I remember because of how mind-boggling it is.
Take this house and shove it, yeah.
That one, and I think it's called May We Harley Drewed Ya.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's so bad.
The thing about Take This House and Shop It is that whenever I think about it, I think about how when the episode title card comes up, a character shouts the name of the episode. And I'm like, how did that squeak by? Wouldn't some parents, like, half hearing that from the other room be like, did a Pokemon character just say, take this house and shove it? Like, is that okay to say?
Yes,
to 8-year-olds?
4 kids said so.
Oh, that's true. I guess you're
If it
right.
passes the 4 kids scrutiny, then it's good to go in a preschool. We cut out guns, we cut out slaps, we cut out anything your heart desires.
Yeah. Well, there's no cut slaps in this episode. There was
all pure slaps.
There was a cut slap in the previous episode. There will be a cut slap in the next episode, but there's no cut slap in this episode.
A lot of people getting slapped in the Pokemon universe.
Well, Ash keeps upsetting Misty. What are you gonna do?
And as we know, domestic violence is always the answer.
She does slap at a hair trigger.
She's got a bit of a fiery temper for a water trainer.
I mean, in the first episode, she slapped him because he thanked her for saving him.
I thought she slapped him because Pikachu was all beat up.
She did. But the immediate line preceding it was him saying thanks. So,
good point.
Anyway, this episode aired April 8th, 1997. in Japan. It didn't air in America until well over a year later. I wrote it down somewhere. No, I didn't. It was like September 1999, I think.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe 98. I don't remember. No, it was 98. I'm an idiot. That's right. So we get a little recap to remind us that Ash got Pikachu, got chased by some Spearow, and Pikachu's dying.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what my notes say. Fighting all those Spearow and dying.
Yep. And then the first shot we get, which isn't reused from the previous episode, is Viridian City.
Yeah, it's a quaint little overhead view of Officer Jenny yelling on the PA.
Yeah. I like that you can tell it's like, it's a larger countryside town, so like it's not a very big town, but it's still like 10 times bigger than it is in the game.
You mean the 4? 4 even sounds like a stretch. It's like you got a Pokemon Center. Do you even have a Pokemart in Viridian?
Yeah, there is. Because that's where you get that package that you have to deliver to.
Right. So you got those.
Yeah.
You got a closed gym and like one other building.
There's a trainer school.
Oh, that's right.
That might be it, though.
A trainer school since I was a baby because I'm so good at Pokemon.
Well, yeah, you always just kind of ignore the trainer school.
And then later you find out that they actually give you stuff, so you're like level 90 and you're like, give me all those free Pokeballs. Give me some orange berries.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's just like berries in the remake. But I guess berries were like gold dust in Fire Red and Leaf Green because you couldn't grow your own, huh?
You couldn't grow them in Fire Red Leaf Green?
No, I don't think so. Because they didn't add any.
You had to transfer them over from Ruby and Sapphire?
I think you could only get them as like gifts from NPCs and held items on wild Pokemon.
Huh. I did not remember that.
I know you couldn't grow them. They didn't add any grow spots like Ruby and Sapphire had. And it wasn't until, was it Diamond and Pearl when they added the portable growing pots, or was that later? I can't remember.
I think that was later? I think you had like the Pokédex so that you could like keep track of your berries, but I don't think you could like care. I can't remember.
You know what?
A long time.
It might have been the portable ones might have been Heart Gold and Soul Silver, actually.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Sounds like the kind of cool thing that Heart Gold and Soul Silver would have added.
Before they took it away from us.
Heart Gold and Soul Silver is still the best game.
It is. My one complaint, wild levels are awful.
Yeah, that's my other complaint is it doesn't have all the Pokemon that were introduced afterwards in it.
We need a fan hack, a retroactive Heart Gold, Soul Silver, so that I can get my Mimikyu.
Probably exists, to be honest.
Probably. Pokemon fans be wilding out there.
Really, all I want from Pokemon is an MMO that they just add to continually, so it has everything.
I don't want to be forced to talk to other people.
I guess not even an MMO. I just want them to make one game that they update with new generations instead of making whole new games.
Like a current era Pokemon Legends open world, but it's like the whole world.
Yeah. And then just every couple years they add a new region DLC.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Me too. I want my Mega Hound back.
They won't do it because they can't charge as much for it. So
yeah, unless it was like a World of Warcraft monthly subscription.
Oh god, and then I wouldn't get it.
What you'd have to do is just crank it out real quick. You get 2 months max, and then cancel your subscription.
Yeah, go beat the whole region in that time. I can probably do it. I'm nuts.
I got nothing better to do.
Anyway, let's talk about this show again. This is where we meet Officer Jenny.
Yeah.
Or as she's called in Japanese, Junsa.
I don't think it gave her or Nurse Joy's name the entire episode.
No, I don't think it did. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I was waiting for it the whole time. I was like, oh boy, I've never known what Officer Jenny's name is in Japanese. And I still don't, despite the fact that you just said it.
It's Junsa.
Junsa.
But Joy is the same. Junsa is played by Chinami Nishimura, who also plays Jupiter, the Team Galactic member.
Oh, that Jupiter. I was thinking of a different Jupiter.
Were you thinking of Sailor Jupiter?
I was thinking of Sailor Jupiter.
I would have said Sailor.
I love her.
Which one is she?
She's the tall one with lightning powers. She's got long brown hair.
Oh, okay. It's the hair. The hair's what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
She also played Totodile, Torchic, Pachirisu, and a few other Pokemon. She played Kiyone Kotetsu in Bleach. I don't know who that is.
Oh, I've never done a Bleach.
She played Dream in One Piece. I don't know who that is.
We're cool anime kids.
Do you know who Botan from Inuyasha is?
It's not ringing a bell. It's been a long time since I've watched Inuyasha.
Okay, well, she played Botan too. And she continued voicing Junsa for all Japan-based Pokemon regions.
Forever.
But since they've moved to other regions, I think starting from Black and White, they've started having a new voice for Jenny and Joy each region.
But do they have the same design?
No.
Oh, that would be hilarious if the only thing that changed was their voice actress.
I mean, they still look similar. They still got the same hair color and stuff, but they get like new outfits and new hairstyles.
No, I want the same everywhere I go.
But they
just
did
different voices.
When they had a special episode set in Johto. They did bring back this actress to play the Johto nurse, Johto Officer Jenny again. So
good.
In English, she was played by Lee Quick, also known as Heather Quick and Heather Lee.
Just pick one.
Stage names are wild, man.
I know.
She hasn't done very much. I looked at her official website, though, but there wasn't a lot on it.
Oh.
But she plays several characters in shows I've never watched called Here is Greenwood and Twin Angels.
I've never even heard of those.
No, they're anime, but I don't know what they are. So Jenny's here on a loudspeaker warning people about Pokemon thieves.
Yeah, they're really hammering home that this is an episode about Team Rocket.
Yeah. And then she sees Ash running around holding an unconscious Pikachu outside of a Pokeball.
And right outside of her police box are the mugshots of Jesse and James.
Mugshots is a strong word for what they
yes,
were.
it is. Those were vanity shots, and it was incredible.
There's like no faces in them.
No, it's just all posed.
Yeah, the Jessie one, you can it kind of looks like she was like shoving down whoever took the picture, but James is just posing for her.
And I love that for them.
Yeah, so she's lecturing Ash. Well, she grabs him and asks him for ID because he's suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
And she says he's the fourth person from Pallet Town to pass through.
Yeah.
So everyone else is ahead of him.
But at the same time, later in the episode, when Ash is talking to his mom, she's like, your dad took like 4 days to get to Viridian
I know,
City.
yeah. I thought that was really funny. Because she's shocked that he got there in just a day. But apparently everyone got there in just a day. And he was the last.
He was the last, and he biked like half of it. Like, did they all get in Gary's car
I
with
was
his
gonna
girlfriend?
say, I guess we did see Gary drive away in a convertible. So
Gary's like that kid with a paper route that gets his dad to drive him to all the houses so he doesn't have to walk.
oh, piece of shit. While they're talking, we just get a nice close-up of the Team Rocket poster to really let us know that Team Rocket are around and they're wanted.
Mm-hmm. And that's why she's suspicious of Ash. She's like, your Pikachu isn't in a Pokeball. You don't have any identification, even though you're only 10 years old. Why would you?
You look exactly like this wanted poster.
I guess. I can't really see their faces. That could be anyone.
So, as Ash is explaining that he doesn't have any ID, and Jenny is making veiled threats about arresting him,
This child.
she spots the Pokédex in his pocket and just kind of snatches it.
Yeah, but that counts as a valid ID.
Yeah, she shows him how to use it to prove who he is.
I thought it was potentially quite a problem that apparently it cannot be reissued if stolen or lost.
I have a note about the same thing. What a strange detail. Yeah. The Pokédex after announcing who Ash is, it announces that if it's lost or stolen, it can't be replaced.
Giving that to a bunch of children out in the wilderness.
Or like, there's no other. I can't think of any other form of ID where that's true.
Right.
Like,
if you lose your driver's license, you can get another one.
Yeah, if you lose your passport, like they'll charge you for it, but you can get another one.
You can even get another birth certificate.
Yeah. What a strange little detail. And there's like no reason for it.
So, like, if I got a hold of your Pokédex, does that make me Mike forever?
No, because it had a picture of his face. It was a photo ID.
So?
I guess.
Cannot be reissued. It's mine now.
Well, I think it just means it's useless to everyone. Not only is it useless to everyone, but the person who lost it is cut off from ever having ID for the rest of their life.
I'm sorry, you no longer qualify for healthcare because you lost your Pokédex. Your Pikachu's going to die.
Oh no. Well, it's so different than the game world where the Pokédex is like a rare thing.
Mm-hmm.
That you in the game world you only get the Pokédex if you're helping a professor, basically. I assume you can probably buy one in the later generations, but at this point in the games, there's only 2 Pokédexes that exist because Professor Oak made them.
Being the most special boy.
Yeah, Professor Oak gave them to the kid next door and his grandson, whose name and gender he doesn't remember.
Well, he remembers his grandson's gender.
Oh, you're right.
Remember his name.
That's true. He remembers his grandson's name, but he doesn't remember your gender.
I mean, he's old. What are you gonna do?
He just can't. I can't keep track of these pronouns these days.
I like to think of him as like a Professor Farnsworth of the Pokemon world.
It's funny because he kind of is in the show. He's pretty funny in the show. We'll get to that later. So, yeah, now that she knows he is who he says he is, I guess the Pokédex maybe gives her proof that that's his Pikachu as well. It's registered in there or whatever.
But she didn't look at that. That's a bit of a stolen Pikachu.
We're just going to move on from... Anyway, she gives him a ride to the Pokemon Center on her bike.
Yeah, he hops in the sidecar and they speed off.
Yeah.
And you know who else speeds off after them? Misty with her charred bike.
Yeah, she's not riding a bike like they are. She's being ridden by a bike.
She's just hauling it around everywhere she goes as if Ash isn't going to believe her unless he sees the charred remains.
Yeah. Which, I mean, fair enough, because when he does see it, he doesn't seem to know what it is.
Yeah, he has no idea what happened.
But as Misty chases off after them, Team Rocket appear in their ridiculous Meowth-head balloon.
I know and I love the Meowth balloon, but it really hammered home how just obvious it is in this episode when you see a giant balloon full of thieves floating through an area on high alert for thieves.
But nobody notices it.
I don't understand.
They're not exactly... like, they're showy villains. They want everyone to know.
Oh, absolutely. They were mad about their mugshots.
Yes, they fish up the mugshots with a long fishing line. Just so they can take a look.
And how unflattering they are.
Yeah.
James is mad you can't see his face.
Yeah, they're really bad mugshots.
Who took that? Intern?
Do you think after this, Team Rocket mailed them, like, signed headshots?
Absolutely. I fully believe that.
The police department just received a pack of glossies. Different outfits showing their range.
They haven't been arrested, but they have been hired to play a few roles.
So, according to Takeshi Shudo, the head writer, who I talked about a bit last time, the Team Rocket trio were added to the show to give it more appeal to an older audience.
What? That sounds like a strange choice. I mean, it worked. I'm an older audience and I love them,
Well,
but...
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Because I read that and I was like, how does that work, though? That doesn't make any sense, but they're my favorite characters and I'm an older audience.
But were they your favorite characters when you were a younger audience?
Yes. I had a James figure next to my bed.
Where did he go?
I don't know. I wonder if my parents still have him. I should ask. The three main characters, only two of whom have appeared so far, were apparently written to have quite simple and easy to understand personalities for kids to relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And Team Rocket were written to be more complex.
That makes sense.
They got a lot of producer notes on how the main characters should behave, but they were mostly allowed free reign with Team Rocket, who the producers didn't seem to think of as important characters.
And that's how we got the best characters.
Yeah, it is. He also, I found an old blog post of his where he said that the idea of them having a recurring motto was an idea of the voice actors, not the writers.
Oh, I know recently we were talking about how it was Jesse's voice actor that came up with the motto itself.
Yes. Well, no, that was the... Well, both actually. I think because he said, in his blog, he said that the entire motto that they recite when they first appear was presented to him.
Oh.
He said that it was presented to him as is by the three voice actors together at a party celebrating the launch of the series.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But also, yeah, the Yana Kanji, which is the Japanese equivalent of "We're blasting off again," was apparently an ad-lib by Jesse's voice actor.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
That they thought was hilarious, so they made it another catchphrase of the characters. And yes, the actors who play the Rocket Trio are incredibly passionate about their roles. All three of them still playing the characters, like, what is it, 25 years later?
Something like that.
Yeah. And they're fantastic. I love them. Whenever an interview with the three of them comes up, I always get very excited when somebody translates it so I can read it, because They have an infectious passion for these characters.
An infectious passion for Meowth.
In Japanese, Jesse and James are called Musashi and Kojiro.
The blue chicken?
The blue chicken, yeah. They're named for a pair of famous samurai.
Oh. So that's how the English naming convention came about.
Yes. The actual samurai, Musashi and Kojiro, had a very famous duel. There's a really famous story about this duel they had. And there's a Puppet History episode about that duel.
Of course there is. And of course you know that.
Hey, Puppet History's great. You should watch it. Jesse and James are named after Jesse James, famous American outlaw. I don't actually know much about Jesse James.
Neither do I.
But I know his name. Musashi is played by Megumi Hayashibara, an accomplished singer and also known as the voice of Faye Valentine in Cowboy Bebop, Rei Ayanami in Evangelion.
Oh.
She was the voice of Alfred J. Quack in Japan. Listen, that means a lot to European listeners. I can tell you that
I know
much.
it means a lot to you.
Yeah, it does. She also played the female Ranma in Ranma 1/2.
I feel like that show comes up a lot more often than I was expecting, just because I kind of forgot it exists.
Well, we've also talked about this woman before because she played Diddy Kong in the Japanese version of Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, there we go.
One of our favorite shows.
You say that so unenthused, as if it weren't true.
Hey, it's coming back soon.
It better be.
Then, in English, Jessie is played by Rachel Lillis, who I'm not going to talk very much about because she also plays Misty, who I talked about her last time we talked about Pokemon.
Yeah, get out of here. Stop hogging all the airwaves.
Yeah, Rachel Lillis, why are you playing so many characters?
Just to be on our very popular podcast 25 years later.
Yeah, she doesn't play Jessie anymore, which is a shame. The English casting people are much less concerned with keeping the same actors in the roles than the Japanese ones are.
That's true of every show, every medium.
That is true. I mean,
We
yeah,
don't care about our voice actors.
we've talked before about how like all of the Sonic characters have had the same voices since 1998 in Japan, and they've gone through like 3 or 4 different voices in that time in English.
Yeah, to save $5.
Yep. Get some people who aren't union. Apparently, Shudo based Jessie on an old girlfriend from school.
What?
Yep. And
The giant hair and everything?
well, I think the personality mostly. And she's also based somewhat on Majo from Time Bokan, a show that I've heard a lot about because it's very influential, but I've never seen it.
Me neither.
Majo was a member of the like villain trio. I think the idea of a bumbling villain trio in anime kind of comes from Time Bokan originally.
It's a
And-
good trope. We should keep it.
It is a good trope, and Majo was one of them. It's a lot of the American shows go more with a bumbling duo, and the Japanese ones go for a bumbling trio. Kojiro. He's played by Shinichiro Miki, who also played the Pokédex that we just heard give Ash his ID. Yeah.
Best known for his role as the Pokédex.
He also played Charizard, which was funny to me because Charizard's voice is kept for the English version.
Oh,
And
so it's just roaring.
it's just roaring, and he also plays Charizard in all the games and Smash Brothers and everything. I never thought of those sounds as coming from a human.
No, me neither.
They must be heavily edited, but I thought they were heavily edited from like lion roars or something.
Right, or like scraping a concrete block across something.
Yeah. He's also the Japanese voice of Disney's Aladdin,
Fun.
Mizuki in Naruto.
Uh,
I don't know who that is. But two I did know is that he plays Alistair in Beautiful Joe and Krim in Dot Hack. I know you won't know those, but they're good. They're good characters.
I'll take your word for it, and also your wallet.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
In English, James is played by Ted Lewis. We talked about Ted Lewis recently.
Who was he?
He played DDD and Escargoon in Kirby.
Oh, yeah.
He only plays James for 7 episodes.
Oh.
I looked into why, because he didn't leave 4 kids because he went on to play DDD and Escargoon in Kirby, and he also plays Giovanni, Tracy, and Snorlax for the rest of Pokemon.
Snorlax.
Yeah, so I was like, why did he leave the role of James, even though he clearly stayed at the company? But it turns out he left for a little bit to do theatre, and it was only supposed to be a temporary stepping away from playing James. And Eric Stewart took over. Eric Stewart being the more well-known 4Kids voice of James.
Mm.
Eric Stewart was only supposed to do it temporarily, but then as the show went on, the English writers realized that James was a more comedic character than they expected him to be.
Yeah.
And they thought Eric Stewart was better suited for the role.
This first episode with them does play very, I don't want to say serious, but more serious than we know them to be.
They're played straight here, yeah. They make a couple little puns, and there's a couple wordplay jokes with them, but yeah, they aren't the goofy villains that we know them as.
They haven't quite become caricatures of themselves the way all characters tend to do over time.
They become that very quickly, I'm pretty sure. I think like 2 episodes from now is the one where they, at the beginning of the episode, are digging a pitfall trap, which they accidentally bury themselves in for the entire episode.
The entire episode.
I think that's the episode that Brock is introduced in.
That was the quickest heel turn I've ever seen.
Shudo based James on Leonardo Medici Bundle. Medici Bundle. I can say that.
Who?
It's a character from Go Shogun, which is a series he wrote before this. I've never heard of it.
Me neither.
But I looked up who Leonardo Medici Bundle is, and he's basically like a flashy comedy villain who's very obsessed with his looks and appearance and things. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can see that for early James.
Yeah. That's a fun type.
And he's also partially based on Benten Kozo Kikunosuke, a young thief from the kabuki play Shiranami Gonin Otoko, which means 5 men of the white waves.
Cool.
That kind of made me want to look up this play, honestly. I don't know if I'd be able to find it online anywhere, but I'm like, what's James about this guy?
Listen, I'm always down to watch some kabuki because I don't know a thing about it, and I feel like that would be fun.
Yeah. I first learned about it from Pokemon, actually. One of the few Japanese references that they left in the English version.
You know what else would be fun? No theater.
Yeah, I'd prefer no theater, actually. Just take it
Me
all
too.
away.
There's something wild about those masks.
I was making a bad joke.
I know.
I want to see some of this puppet theater we heard about in Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah.
That sounded fun.
It just makes me think of like the
Muppets?
well, now that you mention it.
They have a theater.
Yeah, those 2 old guys are in it yelling all the time.
No, sorry, what were you going to say?
I don't know.
Oh. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. Anyway, Meowth.
Yeah.
In Japan, Meowth is called Nyasu. So Meowth is basically an exact translation.
Mm-hmm.
Meowth in Japanese is played by Inuko Inuyama, who is mostly known for Meowth. When I was looking through the cast list, it was a long list of Meowths. But also plays 13 in My Hero Academia. I don't remember who 13 is. Maybe I haven't read far enough to see 13.
I just love the idea of an entire IMDb page of Meowth. What a good role.
That's almost entirely what it is. Yeah, Meowth is a fantastic character. I also this goes for all 3 Team Rocket members, actually. I couldn't tell you whether I prefer the English or Japanese voices, because they're all fantastic.
For a time.
James's voice, I mean, I really hate the current James voice, but I had also started to hate the old one by around Ruby and Sapphire era, because he really starts hamming it up in a bad way.
Oh.
Eric Stewart's early James voice is great, but he leans too far into... There's a certain change in the voice that he used to do only when James is scared, which was really funny when James was scared. But over time, he starts doing that all the time.
Oh.
And it starts being annoying.
Yeah.
In English, Meowth is played by Nathan Price in this episode.
In this episode.
He would play Meowth for about 30 episodes, and then Maddie Blaustein took over. That's the Meowth voice that we're more familiar with.
Okay.
She took over. Nathan Price isn't really known for very much. I looked him up. He's got a lot of small roles in live action shows, like Sex and the City and The Sopranos.
Well, I hear that's good.
Yeah.
But it's quite the it's not quite Pokemon. It's not quite being a talking cat in a cartoon.
No, you'd be surprised if you saw that guy in The Sopranos and thought, I'm going to look up what else he did, and came across Meowth. I think you'd be quite shocked.
I like to think of somebody that takes themselves way too seriously. I fucking love this actor. I want to know everything about this actor. What do you mean he's a talking cat?
Oh no, now I can't watch The Sopranos no more.
There's another one for the list.
Oh no, my gangster movie had someone who did a cartoon in it.
I just love that there's absolutely somebody out there with that mindset.
Oh, of course. I mean, did you see any of the reviews for the second Sonic movie where a lot of people were discounting it because it has one of the game actors in it?
No.
People were like, they used the same voice for Tails from the games, which underscores how childish this movie is.
What does that have to do with anything?
Nothing. And this is like Empire Magazine that published this review. And I'm like, okay, great. Now I can't take Empire Magazine seriously anymore.
To be fair, I haven't taken critics seriously in a long time.
That's
I like
true.
to get reviews from normal folks like you and I.
Yeah, I don't even look at reviews from anybody. I just watch things and decide if I like them.
I've taken more to that mindset in recent days, just because I've been let down so many times by people being like, "This is the best movie you'll ever see,"
Oh,
and I
for
watch
sure.
it, like, it's fine.
Yeah, it's mid.
Yeah.
Yeah, at best I'll watch a trailer, but mostly I feel like I'm old enough now and I've experienced enough media that I can usually tell pretty immediately whether something's going to pique my interest or not.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But anyway, where are we?
Meowth.
That's right.
Good joke. We did a good joke. So this whole time, Jesse and James are ranting and raving about their mugshots, and Meowth is like, we're here to steal Pokemon.
Yeah. He mentions coins before cats. He mentions this a lot throughout the series, I feel like.
Meowth makes a lot of references to Japanese idioms that I didn't understand.
Yes, he does. I understood coins before cats because that's the Japanese equivalent to pearls before swine. I've heard that a lot. Maybe from Pokemon. I can't remember. And I actually, for a long time, I thought that Meowth was based on the phrase coins before cats, but I don't know why I thought that because he's not really.
He's just a monarchy Neko.
Yeah, he's just a lucky cat. That's all he is.
And he makes it rain.
Yeah, he does.
Or theoretically, this one can't.
This one can't, yeah. We won't learn that for like a year and a half, though, in the show.
I won't learn that until like 20 years after watching Pokemon when you told me.
Oh, did you not know that? Yes, there's an Orange Islands episode about it.
Yeah, you told me about it.
It's one of my favorite episodes, actually.
Pretty sure that's why you told me about it.
It's a good one. I think that's also the episode that introduces James's love of collecting bottle caps. Which
Yeah.
would be a running plot point for many, many years afterwards. Now we see the Pokemon Center.
Yeah, it takes them like hours to get there because it's fully nighttime by the time they roll up.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah, it was sunset at the beginning of the episode. Now it's night.
When they pull up on this Coliseum Pokemon Center.
Yes, I've written that. I've written it looks more like a stadium than a hospital, right?
I wrote that it looks like a hive mind in a sci-fi movie.
That too. And when you see the inside of it, there's like no indication of what the outside of the building looks like.
Absolutely none.
It looks like a completely different location on the inside.
Because on the inside it looks like a hospital. Imagine that.
I love that Jenny drives her bike right through the doors and into reception. There is no time to dismount.
I mean, why would you?
Yeah.
And she's on such, dare I say, lesbicious terms with Nurse Joy. Like, she can get away with anything.
It's funny because I feel like we so rarely see these two interact.
But when we do...
Yeah, there's something going on there.
It's a little gay.
And yeah, this is where Nurse Joy appears, speaking of which.
Yeah, she's there. She's the everything. She's the receptionist. She's the doctor.
She's everything but the Chansey.
And even the jury's out on that.
Nurse Joy in Japanese is played by Ayako Shiraishi. There we go.
Good job.
She's not known for much else. She retired sometime around the Johto series, but apparently she returned to voice Joy in the 3D remake of Mewtwo Strikes Back from a couple years ago.
Interesting.
I don't know why.
Yeah, that... never mind.
In English, she's played by Megan Hollingshead, who played Joy until 4Kids lost the license.
Where did it go?
To someone cheaper. But she is voicing Joy again now in the current series. She's returned to being the current voice of Joy.
She just couldn't live without it.
Yeah, or they couldn't live without her. Got a list of some other things she did here. Get ready for a few where I don't know what I'm saying. She was Shizune in Naruto.
Okay.
She was Rangiku and Nemu in Bleach.
Okay.
And two that I do know. She was Scarlet Garcia in Sonic X. That's the newscaster in the show. And she was My Valentine in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, yeah. I know that one.
There you go. And here comes Lucky.
Lucky.
Yeah, Chansey rolling up with the gurney.
Lucky, in my opinion, is a much better name for Chansey.
I get where it comes from. I understand. But I do just kind of like the name Chansey.
I like Lucky. I think it's a cute name. I think it
Lucky
better
is the
gets
name
across.
of a dog.
Yeah. Well, they're all pets.
That's rude. Chansey has a job.
That's true. Have I ever told you about there's a much later episode where we find out that at one point earlier in her life, Jessie wanted to be a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
but because of her poor background, she couldn't afford to go to actual medical school.
Oh, this hits too close to home.
So instead of becoming, I guess she would have been a Nurse Joy. Instead of becoming a Nurse Joy, she goes to medical school where the Chansey are trained. So she's at medical school just like in a classroom full of Chansey.
The fact that these Chansey go to like college and learn the anatomy and biology of hundreds of Pokemon. That's pretty incredible. I think
Yeah.
it's a little rude that we treat them like animals.
I mean, I feel like in the games the implication is just that they just give Pokemon eggs.
Yeah, they just cram a giant egg down their mouth and they get better.
Because I don't think... Do we even see Chansey in the Pokemon Center ever in the games? I guess in Yellow, but that doesn't count.
I don't think we do. We just see the balls go in the thing.
Yeah.
And in the later ones, we see the Pokemon on the screen.
So is it even canon to the games that they use Chansey in the Pokemon Center?
That's a great question.
Who knows? Someone get back to us on that. Someone do the research for me.
We didn't do that part. We're just talking about this show. We're not talking about the games.
Yeah. Well.
We spent a lot of time talking about the games, but we weren't supposed to.
That's not what we're here for. So the Chansey take Pikachu away, and Joy yells at Ash a little bit for letting Pikachu fight too hard. I love that she's already putting rubber gloves on.
Right.
Like medical gloves. She's not even in the operating theater yet, and she's already got her gloves on at reception. I'm like...
I mean, she's got touch a Pikachu. It's made out of lightning.
I guess. I guess they probably were just rubber gloves. I was thinking of them as like sterile gloves, you know, but...
Yeah, like latex gloves.
Maybe they are more like washing up gloves.
I was very confused when they wheel Pikachu away, or maybe it's when they wheel him back, and he just has like a light bulb attached to his head.
Yes, that's when they bring him back, and he has a silly light bulb hat on.
Just to really nail home that this is an electric Pokemon. Here's a light.
Yeah. So Jenny realizes that she left her post empty and runs away.
Yeah, like empty and unlocked, so she immediately has to leave.
Well, you know, I didn't make a note about this because it's just occurred to me, but I did happen to notice that when Team Rocket were fishing up the wanted poster after Jenny left, you can actually see like what looks like the silhouette of a person inside the police station through the window. So
you think that there's another Officer Jenny inside?
No, because she's just established there isn't. So
somebody's just robbing the place.
Either that or she has a decoy.
She put up a substitute.
Yeah, one of those things. This Pidgey clock.
Yes, we have to talk about the Pidgey.
This is the second time we've seen a clock with a Pidgey in it in this show.
And it's green.
It is green. You know, I had a look and the wiki has that listed as a colouring error, but I don't think it was an error.
Why would it not be an error? It's a green Pidgey.
Well, yeah, but like, if you had a cuckoo clock, it's probably not going to have a real coloured cuckoo in it.
I want a real coloured cuckoo in it.
All right, I want a blue one.
Well, then, wish in one hand and shit in the other and see which fills up first.
I have never heard that before.
You haven't?
No. I can never say that again, though. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't assume it was a mistake. It kind of looked to me like they just wanted to make it green.
I guess that would make more sense in the early seasons where things were still a little bit half real world, half not. Because I
guess
feel like
so.
as the series went on, they were more strict about no, it has to be this color because if it's this one, it's shiny.
Yeah, you're probably right. Shinies didn't exist yet.
Mm-mm.
This whole scene with Ash waiting in the waiting room was really sad.
It played extremely sad, atmospheric music. He
Did
just
it? I
keeps
thought it
like
was just very quiet. There wasn't really much music at all.
it was for the most part it was a very quiet episode, but I made a note about the music because I thought it was pretty and I was like, what a sad episode about a dying Pikachu.
It is really sad. I didn't take in the music. I took in the opposite. I took in how little music there was in this scene. But that's
why it
maybe
stood out.
that's maybe because I was looking at it with the memory of the English version of this scene where they've added tons of music.
Where there's like a slide whistle. There's a big top band.
But most of this scene is just like silence as he's just sitting in the waiting room, and it gave it this really lonely, sad feeling.
Yeah, because there's nobody else in there. All the Chansey and Nurse Joy are back operating on Pikachu,
Yeah.
and he's just alone in this big empty room.
He's just sitting there looking at the floor. It was very effective for me.
Yeah.
Very poignant. But he sees.
They're very, please don't kill your Pikachu.
Yeah. But on the other side of the operating room door, there's a row of payphones. Video payphones.
Yeah, these big ugly computer monitors.
Yeah, with a phone handset attached by a cord because it's the 90s.
And we couldn't dream of anything other than cords.
So he decides he's going to call his mom. Did you notice that she answered the phone as Ash's mom?
Exactly what I was gonna say. I love that she picks up that phone and says, "Hello, this is Satoshi's mother." Like, what if literally anyone was calling you?
はい、サトシの母ですが。
There's two reasons. Well, no. There's one reason that this is really weird. And it's that she does have a name in Japanese. And is listed by that name in the credits.
I guess they just wanted us to know that she is Ash's mother first and foremost, and whatever she does in her spare time is none of our business.
Yeah, she's in the credits. She's listed as Hanako, which is her name, but she answers the phone regardless as Ash's mom.
Ma'am, this is your gynecologist. You don't have to tell us all that.
It's super weird as well because this would have been the perfect time for them to tell us her name for the first time.
No.
I don't know when her name is first said in the Japanese version. I believe in the English version, we don't find out her name until the second movie.
Jesus.
I could be wrong about that, but that's the first time I remember hearing it.
I'm telling you, what she does outside of being Ash's mom doesn't matter.
Yeah, clearly.
She's not a person outside of that.
In the English version, they changed it, so she answers the phone and says,
Hello, this is the Ketchum residence.
which makes a lot more sense.
Yes, it does.
But in Japanese, Ash doesn't have a last name. He's just Satoshi from Pallet Town. So that's how he introduces himself always. It's always Masada Town no Satoshi, which means I'm Ash from Pallet Town.
It's like the It's like when they had clan names.
Yes, I've seen it compared to that. That seems to be kind of like what Pokemon is going for, because everybody throughout the whole series, everybody always introduces themselves first name town.
Interesting.
Yeah. It does carry over into the English version as well, because you will notice that although his name is Ash Ketchum in English, he usually does introduce himself as Ash from Pallet Town.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It doesn't quite carry the same way because we don't have the cultural precedent.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of implication that within the Pokemon world, doing well in the Pokemon League brings a lot of prestige to your town. So that's why it's important to like introduce yourself with your town.
Gotcha.
So then they can either be like, wow, Pallet Town is producing great trainers, or like, wow, Pallet Town is producing a bunch of bumbling fools.
Is that why Professor Oak got so mad?
I think that's why he's so invested. Yeah, I think he wants Pallet Town to be like well known.
He wants more funding for his mad science.
But before we get to the conversation with Oak, Ash's mom mentions both Ash's father and grandfather.
She mentioned a grandfather?
Yes, she did briefly.
Wow. I just kind of thought that Ash grew in the garden.
Yeah. No, yeah, she mentions that Ash's dad took 4 days to get to Viridian City when he was young. I thought it was cute that I think his mom says something along the lines of like children don't understand what it's like to be a parent. And Ash says that he's starting to understand how it feels. I thought that was
of his dying Pikachu.
yeah, because he's worried about his Pikachu. I thought that was pretty cute.
It's day 2 on his journey and he's already traumatized.
And then she says something about this baffled me.
This part baffled me too.
Yeah, she says you could say a black hen lays white eggs or a Pidgey lays Spearow eggs. And I had no idea what she was getting at with that.
No. And then she yells at him and says that he's not ready to become a Pokemon master.
I looked it up. I did a Google search for black hen lays white eggs, and I found out that it's a French saying, which is essentially equivalent to don't judge a book by its cover.
Okay.
Or, you know, the nuance is slightly different, but it's close to that. And what she's basically saying is, nobody expected you to do this well, but look at you.
Look at you and your dead Pikachu.
Well, he doesn't tell her, does he? She doesn't know about that.
I guess that's true. I guess I just assumed that he did because he's in a hospital and he calls because he's sad and alone.
Well, I assume, it's the Pokemon Center, so I guess that's a stop that anybody would make.
True.
Any trainer would make a stop at the Pokemon Center. It's true in the games as well. Whenever you get to a new town, usually the first thing you're looking for is the Pokemon Center.
Yeah, because you're full of Weedle poison.
Not only are you full of Weedle poison, but also you want to make sure that your respawn point is going to be in the new place you've reached.
True.
I guess it hasn't really been a concern in a long time, since it's almost impossible to lose a battle in a Pokemon game these days, but
I was going to say, I think the last time I whited out in a Pokemon game was in Red. Because if I haven't rage quit by then I just beat it, because I'm good at Pokemon.
Oh, well, look at you.
I'm just as good as any 9-year-old at grinding experience points.
Yeah. I don't think I've whited out once in Sword and Shield, or I think I probably have in Sun and Moon.
Sun and Moon had some hard battles.
Yeah. But Sword and Shield, I'm pretty sure I never did. It's very easy. It was fun. I don't know
Ish.
if it was as fun as it should have been, but it was fun. I don't know if it was $80 worth of fun, but
It was not filled with fun.
well, I had more fun with it than I did watching Viva Pinata.
Well, I did still launch it out of a cannon and into the sun.
Yeah, he doesn't. I took note of the fact that he doesn't actually tell her what happened. I think because she's so excited for him,
That makes sense.
he ends up not saying anything about it. But she does detect that he's down on himself. And then, yeah, she yells at him, tells him that he'll never surpass his father or his grandfather with that attitude.
She's like, "Have a good time, bye."
Yeah. I think that this is the last mention of Ash's dad until the most recent movie where he mentions his dad again.
Is it the last mention of his grandfather ever?
Yes, I think so. The one and only mention of his grandfather. And then he hangs up the phone and he notices a mural of legendary
of the
Pokemon.
4 legendary Pokemon.
Yeah.
Moltres, Articuno, Zapdos, and Arcanine.
Yeah. I assume they just wanted some symmetry and there just weren't enough legendaries back then to fill it out.
I guess, but Arcanine's an odd choice.
Well, it's the category in the Pokédex. Its category is legendary, so
I guess it is. You are correct.
he runs up and he zeroes in on this Articuno and he's like, "That's that Pokemon I saw. That's Ho-Oh. That's Ho-Oh. That's Ho-Oh. It's that Pokemon I saw." It's not.
It's not. Spoiler alert.
I don't know. I don't know why they did this, but
I guess so that he could bring something up to Professor Oak, and Professor Oak could tell us about legendary Pokemon.
What confuses me is why they made it the wrong Pokemon, because it's very clearly supposed to be Articuno.
Yeah.
And the one that flew over the rainbow was very clearly not. And the thing is, I remember being at school at this time, and this episode started all kinds of fights. Because there were the people who were like, "That's a new Pokemon. We've never seen that Pokemon before." And then there were the people who were like, "No, that was Articuno. The second episode confirmed what he saw was Articuno."
There were fist fights on the playground over Articuno versus Ho-Oh.
And we were all watching it on VHS CRT screens. So you couldn't get the clear look at it that we can today.
Right. It was just kind of a vague blur. But even then, the color was all wrong.
The color was all wrong.
Articuno is very blue.
Yeah. Yep. And it has nothing to do with rainbows.
No, Articuno doesn't sparkle.
It does sparkle.
Articuno doesn't sparkle.
It sparkles in Pokemon Snap. But it's blue as well.
It's been a while since I played Pokemon Snap.
It's on the Switch thing.
Oh, that's right.
The new one was really good, by the way.
Yeah, but that's $60 to
I
look
know.
at some Pokemon.
I know, because I remember your attitude being like, if it's anything as short as the first one, it's really not worth that much money.
Mm-hmm.
But it is 10 times bigger than the first one, at least.
Yeah.
The first one is very small.
It is.
You can finish the first one in 2 hours.
I do just feel like the novelty would wear off really quickly for me, and it wouldn't really have any replay value.
That hasn't been my experience, but I can't speak for you.
No, you can't. So put it back in your mouth.
Well, whenever I come visit you, I'm going to bring it with me, and you can try it.
I can snap a Pokemon in half.
The thing is, for me, new Pokemon Snap was it's the best looking Pokemon game. and it really lets you like get in and look at Pokemon just being Pokemon in their habitats, which was really cool for me. And every stage has a bunch of like secret routes you can take to see different stuff, which was fun. But anyway, enough of me advertising for Nintendo.
Yeah, they're not paying us for this. They're trying to take our money. Like, you're going to use our music, then you can give us all of your ad revenue.
Oh, I'm sure I'm going to have another legal fight over this episode. I'm sure they're going to try and block it again. So that's what happened last
guess
time.
what, Nintendo? We're not making any money. Joke's on you.
You can take all of our revenue, and that revenue is $0.
We'll still be making the same amount.
So while Ash is staring at this Articuno and thinking about how it reminds him of the completely different Pokemon, he might as well be looking at it and being like, that's the Spearow I saw. Right?
Green Pidgey?
Anyway, Professor Oak calls.
Yeah, we don't really know who calls, but the phone rings and Ash answers it.
He runs around the desk to answer the hospital's official phone for them.
What if it was an emergency and this 10-year-old is just picking up the phone?
Hi, is this the Pokemon Center? No, this is Ash Ketchum.
No, this is Patrick. Yeah, because was he actually trying to call Ash? Because he's just like, oh, I just called the Pokemon Center in Viridian. I guess it's you, Ash.
Yes, he is looking for Ash. So he... Okay. Well, when Ash first answers the phone, a big old wall panel opens up behind the mural.
It removes the Arcanine portion of the picture, and there's a monitor there instead of just coming through one of the computer monitors that are all over.
And to begin with, Oak has the wrong camera turned on.
So we get to see his ramen boiling.
Yeah, he's cooking some ramen in a beaker. I thought that was funny.
Me too.
So yeah, it opens up and Ash immediately just says, is that ramen? And then Oak's like, ramen, and looks over his shoulder and realizes he has the wrong camera turned on. Turns on the correct camera so that we're looking at his face now. And yes, apparently, as soon as she got off the phone to Ash, Ash's mum called Professor Oak and updated him. It's funny because we talked last episode about how the first episode really gives the impression that Professor Oak doesn't know who Ash is. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, you must be Ash.
Yeah, I guess you're that boy that my grandson hates.
But this one makes it very clear that they do know each other quite well.
Yeah.
So,
I don't.
Anyway, as soon as she got off the phone, she called Oak and said, hey, Ash is in Viridian City, apparently. So Oak immediately called Viridian City to check on him. And then, because, yes, he answers the phone and then Oak says, your mom told me that you're in Viridian City. Is that true? And Ash is like, where did you call?
Right. This whole bit was very strange to me.
I thought it was really funny. And Oak is like, oh, all right, I called Viridian City and you answered, so I guess that means you're there.
I thought it was very funny that Oak comes out of the gate dumping all over Ash.
Yes.
Like, I didn't expect much from you, but I guess even a blind squirrel finds an acorn now and then.
Yes. I've written down that quote. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Apparently everyone in Pallet Town thought Ash was a loser. It wasn't just Gary. His mom's ragging on him. The professor's ragging on him.
Imagine being such a loser that the geriatric professor next door is dunking on you.
And then, but Oak's very excited for him. He's very impressed that Ash has made it this far. Last. That's the thing, like, Ash is the last one to get this far, but they're still so impressed that he did it at all.
Right. They expected nothing from him. They thought he was going to get turned around on Route 1 and come home.
I feel like if it weren't for the Spearow chasing them, he probably would have. He got washed down a river to be here. And then stole someone's bike.
He got washed down a river and then fished out of the river by someone else. Otherwise, he probably would have just drowned.
Yeah. But Professor Oak, in his excitement, wants to know how many Pokemon Ash has caught. And when Ash replies that he's caught none, it just cuts to Professor Oak in a dark void, looking upset with his back to us. And he says, I was a fool for having expectations in the first place.
期待したわしがバカじゃった。
Oh, that scene was so good. I lost my mind.
It's really funny, yeah. Poor Ash, though.
Yeah. But to try and cover his butt, Ash is like, but I saw a Pokemon that looked like that. And he points to the mural above the monitor, which somehow Professor Oak knows is Articuno.
Maybe just because he's been there.
Maybe, but...
He just knows the decor in the Pokemon Center. But I love how dismissive Oak is of it.
Yes.
He's just absolutely like, no, you didn't. Don't
you
make up stuff.
You couldn't do it in 100 years, or even 1,000.
In the English version, they changed a lot of Professor Oak's dialogue.
To make him less mean?
Partly. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I had to, think about it. When he asks Ash how many Pokemon he caught, he says that it was Gary who had said that Ash wouldn't be able to catch any before reaching there. And then Oak says,
when my grandson Gary said that you wouldn't have a single new Pokemon by the time you got to Viridian City, I bet him $1 million that he'd be wrong.
And then Ash says,
well, money isn't everything, right?
And then we get the cut to Oak in the dark void.
I was a fool for having expectations in the first place.
And yeah, when he tells Oak about seeing the legendary, in the English version, Oak is still quite dismissive of it, but not in quite as harsh a manner. Because Japanese Oak definitely gives the impression that he's like talking to a child who's making things up.
Yes,
whereas
for sure.
In English, Oak is a bit more like, you must be mistaken. It can't be.
Sure it wasn't just another Spearow.
Sure it wasn't a flaming Spearow that you'd electrocuted.
The charred bones of a Spearow.
I wasn't sure if you'd remember that.
I sure did.
Yeah. See, if I was able to mistake the charred bike for the charred bones of a Spearow, you can understand how some people might be able to think that that bird was Articuno. Well, no, the color's all wrong.
I guess so, yeah.
I know some kids thought it was Moltres, which I could see more.
Yeah. But then Ash and his dumb self just points to the Articuno.
Yeah.
Like, that makes any sense.
Yeah. And then Oak leaves because his ramen is boiling over.
Mm-hmm.
And then he hangs up.
And then we find out who's that Pokemon.
Yeah. Did you know who that Pokemon was?
I guessed Exploud.
It's coughing.
Idiot. Dumb. So stupid.
I had no idea.
It's such it's a mistakable silhouette. There's like 18 Pokemon that look like that.
I don't know if it was coughing in the English version. I didn't check. I'm going to assume it wasn't. So Misty's here now.
Yeah, she barges in. She's been hauling the bike over her head, chasing them. Just chasing after a motorcycle.
Yeah, she got here pretty quickly, considering.
Yeah. But we also don't know how much time has passed.
That's true. We don't know how long he's been waiting outside that waiting room.
Yeah.
We also don't know how long it's been since the commercial break, because we hear Misty call out Ash's name before the commercial. Well, no, not his name. She doesn't know his name. She's just like, there you are, before the commercial break. But then there's a cut, and we don't know how much time passes before he reacts.
She's just standing in the entryway, carrying the bike fireman style for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Ash just watching, waiting to see what happens.
But then he's like, what happened to your bike? Which, is only going to make someone angrier. If you've destroyed their bike and then when they show up with it, you ask them what happened to it.
Right. What did you do to your own bike? How did it wind up looking so bad?
She demands satisfaction.
Ash is kind of concerned about Pikachu. He's like, well, can we deal with this when my Pikachu isn't dying?
Yeah, and she sympathizes with that. She calms down immediately when there's a Pokemon on the line. And this is where the nurses bring Pikachu out wearing his funky light bulb hat.
Yeah.
And they
He's
tell him,
still mostly dead.
yeah, he's unconscious, but he's stable. The light bulb is doing its job, I guess. I don't know, is the implication that he's powering the light bulb, or is the light bulb charging him? I don't know.
I assumed it was him powering the light bulb, just kind of as a means of gauging
Monitoring.
how much power. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's still a little weird.
Yeah, Pikachu have electricity instead of blood, so it's like the equivalent of a heartbeat monitor.
I have lightning in my veins, literally. Please don't cut me because you will die.
I don't know that that's inaccurate. They never discuss blood in Pokemon.
That's true.
Yeah, Joy asks Ash to wait by Pikachu's side until it wakes up.
Yeah, love it back to hell.
Yeah. Except for the siren.
The thief alert.
Yeah, the Team Rocket I hear siren. So
I know, what a weirdly specific siren.
do you think that, because I'm assuming the siren is activated from the officer's station, so do you think that as she left the building, she immediately saw the balloon and rushed all the way back there?
Probably.
Because the balloon's right over the Pokemon Center already.
Yeah, they've been following them the entire time. So if she turns around to go back the same way, she's got to see a giant Meowth.
Yeah. So, as Team Rocket are planning their attack, I guess not planning, they're just talking about how they were about to do it. Meowth says that if they do well, the boss will run happily in the garden and the cat will have coins under the kotatsu.
Him and his weird Japanese idioms.
Yeah, apparently this is a reference to a children's song called Yuki Yakono, which means snow falls heavily. And I looked up the song, and it has a line that says, "The dog is happily running around the garden, the cat is curled up under the kotatsu." And I guess that's what it was referencing.
It seems to be, considering how they're almost identical.
Almost, yeah, except the boss. Can you imagine Giovanni happily running around in a garden?
Yes, and I'm imagining him on all fours when he does it.
Of course. In the snow.
He's so happy out there.
What a good boy.
Look at him wagging his tail. He loves it.
Okay. So they throw their Pokeballs down through a very conveniently placed skylight.
Right. They just crash through and Coughing bursts out and lays down a smoke screen.
Yeah, and Ekans, I
Is
guess,
there.
yeah, is just there.
Just kind of menacing.
And Team Rocket recite their motto, which is... I feel like the Team Rocket motto in Japanese is a lot more nonsensical than the English version, but I also don't really get Japanese poetry, so...
I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't even pay attention to half of it because my brain was like, you already know what this is. Team Rocket blasts off at the speed of light.
No, it's
Surrender now or
different.
prepare to fight. I know, but I didn't even... I wasn't really... I couldn't do it.
All right, well, hang on. Let me find it, and I'll tell you what the Japanese motto is. Here it is. If you ask us this or that, the pity of the world is what responds. To prevent the destruction of the world, to protect the peace of the world, to stand by the evils of love and truth, the lovely charmy villains. Musashi, Kojiro, the pair from Team Rocket soars through the galaxy. A white hole, a white tomorrow awaits us. And then Meowth says something like that.
Yeah, like, it's fine, but it's not as punchy.
No,
Punchy English.
I feel like it's
Language barrier.
yeah. This is
For
like
sure.
this is Japanese poetry, and
Yeah.
I don't understand Japanese poetry that well. It always just
doesn't
sounds kind of strange to me.
Either.
So we got Dorgas, which is Coughing's Japanese name.
And
Dorgas is played by Unsho Ishizuka, who I will not talk about because he also plays Professor Oak.
Oh, what a cool dual role.
We talked about him last time we looked at Pokemon. And then Arbo, which is Ekans' Japanese name, meaning that Ekans and Arbok are Arbo and Arbok in Japanese.
Good job, Japan.
Because Arbok is the same. I know that much.
Mm-hmm.
And Ekans is Arbok with a K missing. Arbo is played by Koichi Sakaguchi, who I couldn't find much about. The main thing that stood out to me was that he played Sid in Final Fantasy X.
Oh.
But that was it, really.
Just one of many Sids.
Yeah. In English, Coughing and Ekans are played by Michael Hagney, who was a writer and director for the English dub.
And he's both of them?
He's both of them. And he also plays Charmander, Psyduck, and Snorlax.
Okay. Okay.
But, like, he's the second person in this episode who's credited as playing Snorlax. So
I was just thinking the same thing.
I think the guy from earlier plays Ash's Snorlax, and this guy played Wild Snorlax.
Okay.
But this is the guy whose Snorlax voice is used in Smash Brothers and stuff, I think.
Is he the giant alpha Snorlax that plagues the first map in Pokemon Legends?
No, because they don't have voices in Legends anymore. They went back to Craze.
That's just the first thing that I thought of. That giant imposing thing stomping around on the beach.
I love that guy. I've caught that guy like 5 times. If I ever max out my research for Snorlax, I'm going to that guy to look for a shiny. Yeah, I love that the motto just ends with Meowth dropping down and being like, yeah, what they said.
Mm-hmm. How else, like, when you come with prepared poetry as your intro, how do you follow that up?
Yeah, when you come with prepared poetry and you didn't include your third member in the poem.
Oh, whatever. He's just a talking cat.
Meowth doesn't really have much of his personality yet at this point.
No.
I'd say by the end of Kanto, Meowth has developed into a really well-developed, unique Meowth, but at this point he's just a Meowth.
Yeah.
That's all he really has going for him.
He talks.
Yeah.
That was his gimmick.
Well, at some point, all the Pokemon were going to talk. Have I talked about this? I can't remember if we mentioned it last
I
time.
don't remember if we mentioned it on the show, but you've talked about it to me.
Yeah, at some point in early development, all of the Pokemon were going to talk. And I guess Meowth is just like the last holdout of that idea.
The last vestige.
Yeah.
It's better this way.
It is better this way.
I think humanity has benefited from no talking Pokemon.
Yeah, I even would go as far as to say that it's better when they don't say their names as well. I like it when they just make animal sounds.
Me too.
I'll accept it for some of them. Like Pikachu has a cute enough voice that I'm okay with it.
Only cute Pokemon can say their name. You're not cute, don't apply.
For the most part, I just wanna hear some animal sounds. I think most of the other Pokemon, because there have been a few different anime adaptations of Pokemon, and I think that all of the other ones that don't involve Ash generally do just give the Pokemon animal sounds.
Mm-hmm.
I think Twilight Wings does that. I think Generations and Origins did that. But,
Which is a weird choice to still be in universe and just be like, no, they don't do that anymore.
Well, I think because this anime is very specifically its own universe.
Okay.
And I think the other ones are actually supposed to take place in the game universe.
Okay.
So I think that's the distinction. I think in game universe they make animal noises unless you're playing Sword and Shield, where Pikachu has a voice. Well, no, he's had a voice since X and Y in the games now.
So yeah.
They took it away for Legends though, so I don't know if that means it's going to go.
I don't know. I'm very confused by Pokemon canon.
You're thinking of Viva Pinata. That's the one with the cannon.
Just put that Pikachu in there and fire him through the Meowth balloon.
That has to have happened in at least one episode by now.
The balloon has been punctured so many times by so many things. One of them has to be a Pikachu shot out of a cannon.
There's only so many ways they can do it.
Like, get a Blastoise, cram a Pikachu in there.
It's funny to me how disinterested Team Rocket are in Pikachu at this point.
Yes. They specifically say our target isn't an electric mouse like that. We only target rare Pokemon.
Yeah. No, your Pikachu's basic, is what they say.
Yeah. You can find those out in Viridian Forest. What the hell do we want with that?
Yeah. We're here looking for Dragontini.
We're here looking for Chansey. What if they just start stealing the nurses?
That's probably the most valuable Pokemon in the center, right?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, Generation 1, what would count as a rare Pokemon? It'd be like Chansey, Scyther, Pinsir.
Yeah.
It's
Safari
kind
Zone
of it.
stuff, pretty much it, really.
Yeah.
If it's in the Safari Zone... Because I think the implication with the Safari Zone is that it's supposed to be stocked with Pokemon from other regions that wouldn't normally live in Kanto. But we count them as Kanto Pokemon because they're in Gen 1.
Yes. Because they're in the Kanto PokéDex.
But, like, none of them appear outside the Safari Zone. And you think of a Safari, doesn't usually contain animals from the place where it is. Unless
True.
you're actually in Africa.
Yeah. So, I guess they're just hitting every place hoping that somebody has recently been to the Safari Zone.
Yeah. Ekans and Coughing just trash the computers.
They're just there to destroy stuff. They're there for a party.
It was a really cool image, them like smashing through the computers. But I was kind of like, I feel like they kind of need the computers to see where the valuable Pokemon are.
Yeah, there were a lot of questionable moves made, like cutting the power to a hospital. If you're trying to steal a Pokemon, it's probably dead.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, that's kind of more evil than these three usually are.
That's a little bit terroristic, yeah. granted, hospitals usually have a backup generator, which this one did.
Yes.
But still,
Can we
it's
talk?
not.
Can we talk
Yes,
about the backup generator, by the way?
Can we please?
So when Team Rocket cut the power, Nurse Joy says that's okay because we have an emergency generator.
And we go and look into a room where there's a bunch of Pikachu like wired up to this generator on a circular conveyor belt, essentially, just running and electrocuting, and that's how they get their power.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So it was clearly drawing literal electricity from them. So I'm not sure why they needed to also run on the treadmill.
That's just because they needed to lose some weight.
Maybe it's
Maybe
like
it's like both.
maybe it's like doubling the, not doubling, but I guess running on a treadmill isn't going to give anywhere near as much power as, you know,
Shooting electricity out of your body.
Yeah, but maybe they get a little bit extra from the treadmill.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's like, what constitutes abuse in this world, and what's just a job?
For real. They've all got huge smiles on their faces. Like,
Yeah, they're so happy.
way bigger smiles than we have ever seen on a Pikachu since, I feel like. They were like Totoro smiles.
There's never been a happier Pikachu before or since the generator Pikachu.
Maybe that really is just the greatest joy a Pikachu can experience.
Yeah, maybe that's a dream job for them.
We don't know what's in their hearts. Anyway, Nurse Joy turns on the teleporter.
Yeah, some slow robot hands start shoveling Pokeballs onto a conveyor belt.
Yeah, I love that they just have teleportation technology, but it's like
Yeah.
for Pokeballs only.
I mean, I guess they always kind of have, like, the PC system. You're just kind of uploading a live thing to put into your computer.
That's true. Yeah, and then you can pick it up at any other Pokemon Center.
Yeah, I'm gonna go download my Jigglypuff in Pewter City.
But I feel like, wasn't Bill trying to invent a teleporter and failing?
And that's when he the flyed himself.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
did nobody tell him that they already had?
He's just a crazy eccentric that's been living alone for so long he didn't know that it existed.
Everybody's like, don't tell him, it'll crush him. It'll break his heart.
He'll have nothing.
He's invested so much time into this at this point. And it was invented 20 years before he was born.
We're really not sure how he missed it, but we can't take it from him.
He didn't, because he lives out in that cottage out in the middle of nowhere. Nobody knew what he was working on, and then someone went out and visited, and he was like, I've spent 3 years on this. Look at this. Isn't it amazing? And they were like, oh, yeah. Slowly pushing away the teleporter that they arrived in.
What if the problem with Bill is that he can't cross Nugget Bridge because he can't fight all the trainers? So he's trapped on the other end.
Oh, so he has to invent it himself.
Yeah.
It's the only way he
To
can
get
get
away
out.
from the tyranny of the Nugget Gang.
And nobody's told him that if he just goes south from his house, there's a shortcut back that surpasses the bridge. Or
Well,
bypasses.
he's scared of the small ledge he has to leap down. What if he has to come back up?
That's true. He'll never get back to his house that way. You're right. I think we've cracked it. So all these balls are being teleported to Pewter City.
Yes.
But then Team Rocket bust in.
And knock all the Pokeballs to the ground.
Yeah. And Nurse Joy is like, grab those Pokeballs. But Misty is like, no, fight with them.
take these random people's Pokemon and make them fight.
I thought that was so weird.
It felt a little wrong.
It felt gross. If I got my Pidgey back, and they were like, by the way, we used it in some fights.
That sounds so dirty. Just awful. Like, yeah, we entered your Pidgey in some cockfights. Sorry about that.
It's fine, though. It's fine.
We put it back in the Chansey room. It's fine.
And then when you get it out, it's like got tattoos and piercings, and it's smoking a cigarette.
It's smoking a big cigarette. It's got an eye patch. It's jaded and doesn't love you the way it used
to. Spends all its time in its room listening to heavy metal.
Listening to Johnny Cash on repeat, trying to feel something.
Whenever you go in there, it's just lying on the bed staring at the ceiling.
Anyway.
Ash, throwing random Pokeballs, Ash sends out a Pidgey and a Rattata, which are like the only two Pokemon you could have caught in the games at this point.
Right, unless you came back for a visit.
Yeah. So I assume that was on purpose.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's also kind of a waste of time because they both just run away immediately.
Yeah, because they're Route 1 Shitmon and somebody throws out Coughing and Ekans, I would run too.
That's true. I would not want to be fighting Coughing and Ekans after Route 1.
You're not even ready for Weedle. What are you going to do with an Ekans?
Misty says she's going to buy them some time. And this is where she's introduced for the first time.
And boy, what an introduction.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize, because, you know, as somebody who was into the games already, I already knew who Misty was.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first time in the whole show when we're told Misty's name. In the Japanese version.
Not in the English version?
Nope, they, I guess, forgot.
Everybody already knows who this character is.
So
Let's just remove the introduction.
We still don't get I don't think we ever get formally introduced to Misty in the English version, but we still haven't heard her name yet at this point.
I kind of love that she just kind of integrates herself into this boy's life and he doesn't even know her name.
But yeah, in the Japanese version, this is where Misty introduces herself to Team Rocket and sends out her Goldeen.
It just flops on the ground.
In Japanese, Goldeen. So I'm gonna. I haven't been talking about the voice actors for random Pokemon, but Goldeen's kind of important. You know, this is our this is our introduction to a recurring character. Not that you'd know.
No.
But Goldeen is one of Misty's 3 Pokemon at this point. It will be a while before we learn what the other 2 are. But for now, Goldeen is Misty's... What does she call it? My Steady?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
She calls it her
very
Steady.
Confused by that.
It's called Tosakinto in Japanese, and it's played by Ikue Otani, who also plays Pikachu. So I don't need to talk about that.
I love that, though.
And in English, Goldeen is played by Rachel Lillis, who also plays Misty and Jessie, so I don't need to talk about her either.
She's her own fish.
And yeah, Goldeen just kind of hops around uselessly on the ground. And I think that this scene is 100% of the reason that Goldeen is the dud Pokemon in Smash Brothers.
I was thinking the same thing, because I remember the first time I realized that Goldeen was the dud. I was like, why isn't it Magikarp?
Why isn't it Magikarp?
Dud.
Yeah, it should be Magikarp.
Yeah.
Not only is Magikarp famously the dud Pokemon, it's also got a funnier voice and is funnier to watch hop around.
It's got those big dumb eyes and those big whiskers. I love
Me
Magikarp.
too. Goldine's kind of... It's so weird. It's always been so weird to me that Goldeen is the dud Pokemon in Smash Brothers, and I think it is just because of this one scene.
It's a good scene, though.
It's pretty funny. She sends out Goldeen, it hops around uselessly. Team Rocket look... I don't know, how would you describe that emotion?
Unfazed.
No, their expressions change. But I don't want to... Is it surprise? Is it shock? I don't know what it is.
I
Confusion, maybe?
don't know. But for sure, we're all a little confused.
They're bemused, at least. And then Misty immediately returns Goldie.
Like, she's a water trainer. Why is this not... Why did that not occur to her as a possibility?
And then she says, like... She gives them a little speech about how fish Pokemon can't battle on land. And I'm like, Misty, you're the one who sent it out!
Now, just imagine if it was in water, huh? Then you'd be scared.
Yeah. So weird.
The whole point of this was to buy Ash time, and Ash has just been standing there watching.
Yeah, and then she tells him to leave. So he runs. But apparently she didn't buy any time because Coughing and Ekans chase him immediately. They just follow him.
Yeah, because her Goldeen just flopped around.
She also, spoiler alert, she also has Staryu and Starmie on her at this point. Both of which would have been better choices.
Yeah, put that Starmie out. Those things can be nasty.
Yeah. We won't see her Staryu until, I think, the Mount Moon episode. And I don't think we see her Starmie until the actual gym battle with her. But she does have them.
I don't really understand how some of the trainers can go like months without sending out some of their Pokemon. Like, you're traveling with them and you have no idea what they're carrying.
I know. I know. I feel like it's... I feel like Misty's the only one, really. Because Brock, we already know, like, right from the beginning that he has Geodude and Onix on him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so weird to me that they kept Misty's Pokemon kind of secret for so long.
Yeah.
I guess they did the same. I mean, it's a bit different with Gary because he's not traveling with Ash, but we didn't find out what starter Gary picked until Johto. I talked about this last time, I think. Mm-hmm. We don't find out that he has a Blastoise until the very end of the Johto series. Ash, I don't know what happened. He, like, runs the car over something that jolts it.
Yeah.
And he falls down and Pikachu wakes up.
And then all of the generator Pikachu just kind of appear.
Yeah, he just like summons them immediately when he wakes up somehow.
He's become the leader of these Pikachu he's never met.
And they all dogpile him.
Yeah, it's just kind of a useless pile of Pikachu.
It's cute though.
It's very cute.
And then they do a big old Thunder Shock. I nearly said Thunderbolt, but Pikachu doesn't learn Thunderbolt for a while. So it must be
We
Thunder
have
Shock.
to keep things consistent on this show.
Yeah. It was a long time, but I think around Diamond and Pearl or something, they actually started being very consistent about the Pokemon's movesets as well.
Instead of they just kind of know things one episode because it suits them.
Yeah, I mean, there are some weird... I think Bulbasaur uses, like, Gust at one point in one episode. Yeah, all of Team Rocket gets shocked except Meowth, who then straight up tells us that he's going to eat Pikachu.
Yeah, it's a...
I thought it wasn't until like Sun and Moon that they started getting obsessed with Pokemon eating each other, but apparently it was already happening here.
You got to start off early with that sort of thing, because when you get too late in a series and then choose to introduce people eating each other, people, they're not ready for it.
No, that's true. Well, I feel like there's something to be said for building up to it, but
I like to know what I'm getting into right off the bat.
yeah. Is anyone gonna eat anybody? Because I'm out
That's
if not.
what I ask when I enter a party. Like, all right, is anybody gonna eat anybody? No? All right, where's the beer?
Is anybody gonna eat anybody? I'll be in the car. This is where we get our first instance of Pika speak.
Yeah, that was weird.
It doesn't work so well in this episode.
No.
It's a running thing that Pikachu. There are words that you can recognize that Pikachu will say.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pika P is Satoshi. So if you're watching the English version, anytime you hear Pikachu go, he's calling Ash. He's saying Satoshi.
Okay.
PPP is Togepi. I remember that one. There are loads of them. There are like specific words you can pick out that he always uses when referring to a specific person. So you can kind of tell.
That they put that much thought into it.
I know. Well, I'm going to assume that it's mostly on the actress.
Yeah. True.
But you go back and watch the famous scene from the movie where Pikachu cries. And he is saying Pika P. He is saying Ash's name.
Mm-hmm.
And with that knowledge, it's like extra sad.
Now go watch it and cry.
Yeah, we'll wait. But yeah, Pikachu somehow, using only the word Pikachu, communicates to Ash that he wants more power.
Yeah. Ash understands this somehow and hops onto Misty's upside down bike.
Yes.
And pedals.
And pedals to power the light on the front, which is miraculously the one part of the bike that still works.
Which is miraculously a thing that happens in the first place. Is that a real life thing? I'm not a bicyclist. I don't know what technology they have.
Yeah, you can get little lights on the front of your bike that are powered by your pedaling. They are not usually this bright. They're usually kind of garbage from my... I mean... Well, I was going to say it's been a long time since I had one, but I guess it's also been a long time since this episode came out, so...
True.
Yeah. But, you know, it's Pokemon World. Pokemon World's kind of a utopia when it comes to technology, so...
True.
Maybe they've got more effective bicycle lights than we have in real life.
Listen, this is my hot take. Nobody needs a light that bright at night if you're going to be in like a heavily populated area. Not even heavily populated. There is nothing I hate more than when I'm driving at night and somebody has those awful bright lights on and they're driving behind me because I can't see.
Oh, yeah.
My ass can't see because your lights are too bright and you don't need all that light.
Yep. It's so many times I'm just like walking on the street because I don't drive, but I'll just be walking on the street and some asshole comes around the corner and blinds me for like 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Like there is such thing as too bright.
Yep.
Because other people exist in the dark.
Yeah. The high beams are really only meant for when you're like out in the deep countryside.
Yeah, that's the only time that I ever use them, when it's like literally impossible to see otherwise.
Yeah.
And that usually means that there aren't other people on the road.
Well, I remember when I was a kid and Mum would be driving us places. We'd quite often be driving through the countryside because we had a lot of family who lived in like other cities and stuff. But while we're going down those country roads, if she saw a light approaching from another car, she would switch down to the regular beams.
That's what you're supposed to do.
I feel like nobody does that anymore.
Every now, like, I do see people doing that. Sometimes they don't think about it until they've like already driven by me and I see them turn their lights off. I'm like, well, nice try, friend. But sometimes they don't do it at all, and I can't stand it. But I think at least around here, a lot of people try to because it's such a populated area.
Yeah, they
But that's
better.
also why I'm like, why do you even have them on in the first place? There's streetlights and like 50 other cars.
You never need them on when there's street lights.
People do it sometimes, man.
Yeah. How old do we sound right now?
I don't think this is an old people rant. This is just a people driving or with eyeballs rant.
Yeah, I guess so. We're just having an adult rant right now in the middle
Yeah.
of this show about children for children. For children about children.
One could say for kids.
Yeah, but not by kids. This next part where Pikachu's electrocuting the Rocket Gang,
Mm-hmm.
as they call themselves in Japanese.
Is this one of the scenes that had to be slowed down
Yes.
post Porygon?
I was wondering if you'd pick up on, because it splits up into 4 sections.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's rapidly changing between Rocket Gang members as they're, it just cycles between them all, and it gets faster and faster and faster in these 4 boxes. Originally, it wasn't split into 4 boxes. It was full screen.
Yeah.
And it was changing that rapidly. It's the same thing they did for the opening.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in English it's only ever been seen like this, and what we're watching is a later Japanese airing, so it's been edited to be like this. But when it first aired, these 4 boxes on the screen will have been full screen and rotating through much more rapidly than they are here.
I had a feeling it was edited because it didn't feel correct.
No, it
didn't
feels
feel
weird,
like
doesn't
the
it?
original intent, yeah.
Yeah, and that's because it's not. It doesn't really convey what the original intent was. It doesn't really work.
No, but they did their best.
Yeah, it kind of ruins the joke, but they did what they had to do.
Mm-hmm. To not give people seizures.
Well,
And
this
that's
one
an
wasn't. The thing is, this one didn't. This one was okay.
Yeah, but they were still just being cautious
Yeah.
of photosensitivity.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of these edits come from, just from like, we've screwed up once, we have to overcorrect. And, I'm not saying that that's wrong, because I think overcorrection is probably better than undercorrection. But, these episodes were fine. They wanted to be extra double safe, which I understand. The coughing's
whole
gas
thing
ignites.
Explodes.
Yeah, the electricity creeps its way up into Coughing's gas, and he blows up the entire Pokemon Center.
Yeah, it was a big event.
Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive for such a small Coughing.
A small coughing and a Pikachu using Thundershock.
It still doesn't seem, it doesn't seem like enough to blow up an entire Pokemon Center.
No, especially not one of that size.
Yeah, I would expect something more akin to that time Mac and Charlie tried to blow up a car with a hand grenade.
And it just kind of shook the car and set off the alarm.
Yeah. But nope, the entire Pokemon Center, the stadium-sized Pokemon Center, explodes.
Like, I feel like somebody would be in jail for that.
I feel like
Maybe
everyone would be dead. I don't think like
Also
there wouldn't be enough of anybody left to put them in jail.
They find Pikachu's left arm and they put it in a handcuff.
But apparently everyone survived. Well, everyone that we know of survived. I guess we don't...
There was somebody on the 3rd floor, and he's just gone forever.
I mean, this is a huge building. There had to be more than these 5 people in here.
Right. Like, we're to assume that every single Pokemon was in a Pokeball?
We're to assume that this giant building, this absolute gargantuan construction, only contained Nurse Joy.
I kind of love that headcanon, though. That she just runs the whole joint and it's completely empty otherwise.
It's the largest building in town, and she's the only person inside of it. It's just cavernous. There's only 2 rooms, and the rest is just a giant cavern. Wait,
it's just a warehouse.
Actually, I guess it is, because they throw their Pokeballs in through a skylight and they land at the front desk, so I guess it really is just an empty cavern.
Yeah. Well, at least everybody got out safe, except for the janitor.
Yeah. Jenny shows up just in time to see it explode. She doesn't seem too concerned.
Oh, it's just another Tuesday.
Team Rocket Tuesdays.
What? Is that a thing?
No.
Girl, I've been on the internet for too long. I don't put anything past it. The way you sighed, I was like, is this like a social media thing I've missed? Is this a hashtag? Is this what the Zoomers are into?
No, I was just picturing that they had the town had a deal with Team Rocket to make things more interesting.
They're actually on Jenny's payroll because she gets paid at work.
I now that I think about it, Giovanni, his gym is here, right?
Yes, it is.
So, but Team Rocket headquarters aren't here.
No, those are in Saffron?
Or
Fuchsia?
I think Cerulean, aren't they? Saffron is the...
Saffron is where Sabrina is.
Saffron's where Silphco is.
It's Celadon.
Celadon. Did I say Cerulean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I meant Celadon. I was picturing Celadon.
I was picturing Celadon too, and I said the wrong one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking Silphco.
Yes, I was going to say Saffron is where you fight Giovanni in Silphco, but the headquarters are under the game corner in Celadon.
Right, you gotta push the button under the poster.
Though I don't think that comes up in the show. I don't think they go to Team Rocket headquarters in the show.
I guess they don't really have any reason to. Team Rocket's not really a part of the plot. They're just following them everywhere.
Well, because regular game style Team Rocket are present too. It's just that Ash isn't involved.
Yeah.
He never really fights the grunts, and he never fights Giovanni. But they're still doing stuff in the background. Kind of weird when you think about it.
Catching a Caterpie, and in the background you see 2 bandits carrying the Mona Lisa.
Yeah. Like, the main plot of the game is dealing with Team Rocket, but in the show they're just never dealt with. They're just at large forever.
It's just a criminal organization that we all have to live with.
I never really thought about it before, but it's weird. All the other teams get dealt with. They dealt with Team Aqua and Magma. They dealt with Team Galactic. But Team Rocket...
I guess Team Rocket isn't threatening global safety as much as some of the later teams are.
I guess so, yeah. That's true.
They're just stealing some Pokemon. Like, they're small fry compared to all these people trying to plunge the world into eternal chaos.
Yeah, well, because, like, Team Rocket are based on Yakuza.
Mm-hmm.
And all the other teams are based on much more dangerous things, like how...
On eco-terrorists.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the one that was based on pizza. That's much worse than the Yakuza.
Yeah.
So, Team Rocket escape hanging from their balloon.
Their surreptitious secret balloon.
I like that. So, in the English version of this scene, they've already decided that they're gonna catch Pikachu. They're like, let's catch it. I like that in the Japanese version, you can tell that they're still considering it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they haven't landed on, we're definitely doing this yet, but they're kind of like, could we?
This is a pretty strong Pikachu.
And then the balloon just kind of rips a hole for no reason, and and they fly away.
Yeah, that one was kind of weird. Not their best blast off.
No, but they're first. I love that in the next scene, Nurse Joy is just using a single intact computer in the middle of the rubble of the Pokemon Center.
Right. The ruins of what used to be her place of work.
There is somehow one computer that survived the blast. And now she's just using it outside among the rubble.
Yeah, it's still connected to the internet. It's still good.
Yeah, it's fine. She's
Ethernet cable's a tough one. It's still intact.
she's using it to contact the Nurse Joy in Pewter City, who she calls Sis. That's her sister.
So, like, they're all related. Are they all, like, sisters?
I feel like it's inconsistent. I feel like they've been referred to as sisters and cousins and all kinds of different things.
Maybe a little bit of everything.
I think they are all related, but they have different relations to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are several families of Nurse Joys and Officers Jenny.
God, the nepotism in the Pokemon world.
For real. I wonder if there's ever been an episode about a Nurse Joy who didn't want to be a nurse.
I feel like they had to have, but that's just because I want it to be true.
Yeah. I hope there has been. It's been so long. There's probably a Pokemon episode about literally anything that you could think of.
Probably.
As long as it's still suitable for kids, there's probably an episode about it.
As long as they can make a bad pun out of a Pokemon name for the title card, they can make an episode about it.
Yeah, I don't know if they do that so much anymore.
That's a damn shame.
Anyway, she tells her sister that the kids are headed to Viridian Forest. In the English version, this is where we hear Misty's name for the first time.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that Joy uses their names here in the Japanese version, but in the English version she says,
Ash, Misty, and Pikachu are heading your way to Pewter City.
at which point, oh, I guess her name's Misty.
I feel like she just said they.
Yeah.
They're headed for Pewter City and they'll need to pass through Viridian Forest.
Yeah. Viridian Forest is definitely made out to be a much more foreboding place than I think of.
Yeah, I think of it as being awful and full of poison, but
I guess it does have pretty spooky music. I love the
I don't know if
Viridian Forest.
spook's the word that I would use.
Yeah, it's got like a theremin in it.
Theremin.
The spookiest instrument of all.
Oh, that's right. No, I don't like that song.
It's spooky.
I disagree. I don't think that's what qualifies as spooky.
I like it.
I don't know. I never got into it. Maybe it's just because I hated the place, but I just associate the music with extremely annoying.
Yeah.
It's not spooky to me. I just get angry when I hear it.
But Viridian Forest was a really annoying place. And probably the place I spent the longest in all of Pokemon Red. But I just...
Looking for Pikachu?
Yeah, looking for Pikachu. Not only looking for Pikachu, but just trying to get through it as well. Because it is a huge difficulty jump.
That's true, because Route 1 is just a straight shot, and then suddenly you have, like, dead ends?
Yeah. Suddenly you're in a maze where there's
Full of
grass
poison.
everywhere. And I'm playing the red version, so it's mostly Weedle. And it's also the first place where you actually have to worry about fighting trainers as well, so...
Yeah.
It's where Pokemon suddenly got real. In a way that it never does in the newer games. This is back when poison actually meant something, too.
Yeah. It couldn't just be wished away because your Pokemon loved you,
It couldn't-
and it wouldn't go away when you got down to 1 HP.
Yeah, and I think in the newest games, I don't think poison even affects you outside of battle anymore.
It doesn't.
Right. 'Cause, like, remember when you're walking around and it's like...
Yeah,
every
it's terrifying.
Every couple steps. Yeah, it was really horrible.
I remember one time I was doing a Nuzlocke of Emerald, I guess, and I got poisoned, and I was like looking at my Pokemon's HP, counting every step,
Yep.
getting to the Pokemon Center.
Yep. You start like you end up moving slower because you're planning your route more.
Yeah.
You're like, how can I get to that door in the fewest steps? Yep.
Good time.
But Misty gets spooked by a Caterpie. Misty's fear of bugs is an ongoing. She's afraid of... It might just be bugs. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it's just bugs that she's afraid of. And I don't remember if she ever gets over that fear of bugs. It was definitely still a thing in Johto, at least. But I liked that it was very consistent. Even if she wasn't gonna react in a big way, when there were bugs around, she would always at least have like a visual reaction in the background to them.
I love how creeped out she got by the least threatening Caterpie I've ever seen in my life.
I know, it just looks like it's trying to say hey, doesn't it?
It looks like it's not thinking anything at all. Like, it just shows up, it's like, huh?
So Ash decides he's going to catch it, and he throws the Pokeball. And
that's the end!
Yep, interrupted by the episode ending. And we won't get to find out if he catches it until next week, unless you watch the preview for next week's episode, which makes it pretty clear that he's going to catch it.
Unless you've been even tertiarily involved in the Pokemon fandom in the past 20 years and have heard of Bye Bye Butterfree.
Yeah. I remember a while back, I think it was during the Black and White series, when they had an episode that called back to it and had like flashbacks to it and stuff. And when the previews for that episode came out, a lot of people thought it was Ash's Butterfree returning, but it was not.
Wah wah.
Yeah. It's kind of a
Butterfree's
shame.
happier out there.
I mean, yeah.
Doesn't want to go back to Ash.
Probably. It would be nice to just have it like show up for one episode, though.
Yeah,
just
a little
to see
cameo.
how he's doing. Yeah, I want to see his Kata babies.
Would it just be like dangling them, flying them around?
Carrying him in a little basket.
They're just riding on his back.
Yeah. So that was the end of the episode. Did you like this one?
I did. The first half was a little slow, but then Team Rocket showed up and everything exploded.
That's literally what happened, yeah. It was fun. It definitely... I know Team Rocket will get a lot more fun than they are here, but it's still nice to see them.
Yeah.
They don't really do a lot here.
They're still pretty exposition heavy at this point in the series, which is understandable.
Yeah.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever
my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. It's you and me. I know it's my destiny. Pokemon, oh, you're my best friend in a world we must defend. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. Our hearts so true, our courage will pull us through. You teach me and I'll teach you. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all. Pokemon.
Here's some notes I made about differences I noticed watching the dub version.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I have a note here about that waiting room scene, like I said. They added... For the English version, it seemed like they tried to make the scene sadder by adding some very dramatic, sad music. But it actually ended up making it less sad because it removed that sad, lonely feeling that the original had.
Right. They went too big.
They went too big. Professor Oak's ramen is still visible, but they don't mention it anymore.
You're just supposed to accept that he's making dinner, and you live with that knowledge.
No, they don't even... That's not even the thing. When he first answers the phone, instead of asking about the ramen, Ash just says...
I didn't recognize the back of your head.
But I'm saying, we as the audience, we know.
No, we don't... Well, I mean, unless you know what it is.
Yeah, it looks like noodles in a beaker. I know what it is.
I mean, I guess so, but there's no attention drawn to it.
Is that just a science experiment?
Like, you can still see it, but nobody says anything about it, and it's not like
That's what I'm saying.
it's not like it's central on the screen. It's just like a background element now. So at the end of the call, because originally he was leaving because his ramen was boiling over, in the English version, instead, you hear a doorbell and he gets up and runs away because his pizza has arrived. But you can still hear the ramen boiling over.
Ah, there's my pizza. Coming!
Ramen is too foreign for our American youth. They only understand pizza and hamburger and donut.
For real. Yeah, they only understand the very American food, pizza.
Pizza is ours now, Italy.
Yeah, Misty's introduction's completely rewritten, and she no longer mentions her name at all. I'm wondering if 4Kids just... I wonder if a different writer wrote this one than who wrote the first one, and the writer for this one just assumed that the first episode introduced her since she was in it.
Maybe.
And they just, forgot that she hadn't been actually introduced at any point.
They just assume that we've all done our homework
Yeah.
and played the games like good boys and girls.
They didn't even play the games. And that's it. That's all. There weren't actually that many changes.
Oh, well, that's boring.
It is boring. I like it when 4Kids ruin the show.
Me too. I want finger guns.
Yeah, I want laser chainsaws. I want everybody to have an outlandish accent.
Laser chainsaws and finger guns is going to be the name of my first album.
Please let me do anything on that album.
Okay, do you want to write it for me?
Okay. I'll do all of the things. And you can be in the music videos and it'll be your band.
Oh yeah,
pretty
that's
sure.
the way a lead singer works.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that's how the music industry works.
Basically, there's one talented person, and then someone will be the face, and they're the ones that get all the money. It's okay. I'll cut you in on some of it.
Thanks, baby.
No probalo.
What about the legacy of this episode?
Of this specific episode.
Yeah, there's a couple things.
There is?
Well, I mean, first of all, you've got Team Rocket.
Oh,
who've been
yeah.
adopted into the games. They're in Pokemon Yellow, they're in Pokemon Let's Go, they're in Pokemon Masters, Pokemon Puzzle League. But Pokemon Puzzle League doesn't really count because it's all based on the show. But the big legacy of this show,
Yeah, that's what I'm dying to hear.
the greater legacy than the legacy of Team Rocket, is the Goldeen Smash Brothers thing.
So weird.
It's super weird. That has to be what it is, right?
I thought so too. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh.
I wonder if Sakurai doesn't play Pokemon. But he just watched a couple episodes of the show and he was like, oh, okay, so that's what that one does.
Right. He looked at a list of them, saw that one was a fish.
Yeah, it's a strange choice, and to this day, okay, I get it for the N64 one because this would have been fairly recent at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Goldeen is still the dud Pokemon 20 years later.
Because they change and add Pokemon all the time, so it's not like they just don't want anything to change. They just don't do it.
Yeah. Yep.
I will forever be sad that Magikarp is not the dud Pokemon.
It should be him. Should always have been
It should
him.
have been him.
I guess that's the end of this episode.
I guess so.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
On this wild ride into Viridian City.
Come join us next time we look at Pokemon to find out if Ash catches Caterpie.
We'll never know. And you certainly don't know from context clues.
No, like me saying it and Mel saying it.
It's a secret. We don't know yet.
Spoilers.
It has aired in America.
It never will. Thank you for listening to us talk about all this garbage. We appreciate it very much. Our numbers keep going up, and I keep being surprised by that.
Me too. I'm surprised anytime somebody chooses to listen to my grating, awful voice.
Hey, I listen to it all the time.
Yeah, and I'm still surprised by it.
I listen to it probably more than anybody because after we've recorded this, I have to go listen to it all again. At least twice more to edit it.
Yeah, and then sometimes I show up in the streams and you listen to it there.
It's nice. It feels like I had this thought the other day, but while you're off at work and stuff, I feel like we're still hanging out because I'm editing this podcast.
Well, I'm glad one of us is having fun. I'm kidding.
If you enjoy our stinking show, then please share it with a friend because we can always use more people to hear us.
Yeah. We grow stronger the more ears are on our show.
That's true.
We will devour the world like Lavos.
And if you feel like kicking in some money to help us make this show better, you can go ahead to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/SuperBreakfastFriendsClub, and you can kick some money our way to get some extra bonus content that's only on there.
Yeah, you can hear even more of our voice.
If you're crazy.
What a treat.
What a treat for both your ears.
Not just one, but two.
That's the real treat. Find us on Twitter if you dare.
Nerd.
Our Twitter handle is at SBreakfastFC. It's all that would fit.
So come join us in the Super Breakfast Football Club.
If you want to tweet things at us, I'll respond. I respond to every tweet, but mostly because we haven't had any weird ones yet.
For better or for worse, Mike always responds. What about coffee?
Oh yeah, we have a coffee now. You can, so if you want to do a one-time donation, just kick a little money our way that the company doesn't keep any of, you can go ahead and do that. Just give us a couple bucks.
I don't know about you, but Patreon always turns me off because it feels like yet another subscription that I have to manage. So one-time payments are a favorite of mine.
Bye. That's the end of our show. Bump.